Creative Souls. And I want to welcome you to this inaugural video. I have to say, I am just really very excited because, as some of you know, I've kind of changed up this group. This group has been going for a while, a few years now, but it's been mainly for musicians. And now I am just so delighted to be opening up to speaking with and interacting with and working with all kinds of creative people and artists and of course, lots of musicians. As you all know, I am a violinist myself. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the big picture, about creative inspiration, and especially I'm hoping that I can inspire you for whatever creative projects you're working on. And specifically, I'm going to talk about, this is the mystery topic, the winning topic, and I'll announce the winner at the end today and give her, it's a her, her prize at the end of the video, so you want to stay on for that. But the winning topic is how to wake up your creative muse. This is a topic that really excites me and inspires me. It is the whole reason that I am here with this group, with you, and why I do all of my teaching. It's why I'm a violinist. It's why I do anything creative. So I'm really thrilled about this topic today. If you're coming on, I would just love it if you would say hello. And I see some people already are. And I happen to be on a new interface that I used to use, but they've changed it up. And so I can't actually see who the people are unless I get on my phone. And I didn't realize that until right now. But I am seeing hellos, and I do want to be able to see who you are. So I'm hoping I can pull this up on my phone and kind of see you here as you're popping up and talking to me. Oh, great. It looks like it's working. Yay. Whoops. But I can also hear the sound. Hold on. I'm talking to myself. There's a delay. Okay, but it was working. I saw Magdalena. Hello, Magdalena. And maybe this won't work because I can't turn off the sound. Okay. Oh, maybe if I really turn it down. I saw Magdalena. My apologies. Okay, I think I got it. So now I can see who's here. And welcome, everybody, except it's still not loading me. 1 second, this is embarrassing. Christina, yes, Christina is here. Hello, Christina, my neighbor, almost. And Magdalena from Switzerland, my Swiss neighbor. And Angela, hello, and Mary. And I'm hoping I can kind of go back and forth between my phone and my laptop so that I can actually interact with you guys, because that's important for me. All right, let's dive into our topic. How to wake up your creative muse. It's the perfect topic to start introducing my creativity challenge to, which I'll tell you more about later. We're going to be starting it in a couple weeks. But we have to know, if we're going to have a creativity challenge, and if we're talking about the creative spirit and the creative muse, you might be wondering what I think a creative muse is. Okay, so what is a creative muse anyway? Well, I think in the old days, like a long time ago, this idea of a creative muse was something that was more common. It was kind of in the air, so to speak. Composers and artists and writers, artists of all kinds, had this concept of a muse, that the muse would come along and speak to you, or you'd go into a trance and your muse would inspire you and you would just be, I don't know, like unconscious or something while the muse does what it does through you. Well, I'm not sure I would go that far, but God knows better. I don't know, really. I am actually personally inspired by this idea that there is such a thing as an idea with a capital I. And that idea is something that comes to us. And I like the idea that there is a creative muse that gives me the ideas. Whether it's true or not, it's a creative idea to have a creative muse. Wouldn't you agree? Give me a yes or a thumbs up or some hearts if you like this idea. Okay, and by the way, I love the emojis. So if you want to send me some of those anytime, and please, 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 I would love to get your responses and like lots of interaction in this so that it's not like me present. Of course, I am presenting material that I've thought about, but it's really important to me, and I love when we have an interaction going. So please feel free to give me feedback. You know, if you like the idea, throw the feedback at me, and if you don't like it, throw that feedback at me, and let's have a discussion, because it's much more fun that way. Maybe someday I'll do this on Zoom, but for now, the Facebook Lives are working really well, and I know how to do them, and anyway, not going there, but give me some feedback and responses and comments so that there can be like a lively exchange in these Monday videos especially. I love that. Thanks. Thanks in advance. And they're coming. Thank you. And by the way, just so you know, there's always a big delay. So I don't actually see your responses in real time, unfortunately. Sometimes it's as much as like 10 seconds later, which is actually a really long time. So forgive me if I'm not responding right away to your responses and your questions. But now at least I can see them. Okay, so back to what is a creative muse? In fact, I can do this now. So I'm gonna pop that question up there. What do you think a creative muse is? Do you have another word that you like to use? Most people don't use the word muse. So that is kind of amusing, ha ha ha. Yeah. What is the word that you like to use to indicate what the creative spirit is for you? Because for me, that's what it comes down to. We get inspired to create our art. I love the word inspiration because it does have the root spirit in there. I personally think of the creative muse as spirit. But even the word spirit is very mysterious. And I think it has to be that way because you can't pin down spirit. You can't pin it down. You can't put it in a box. You can't really put a label on it. I think that the Indians, the North American Indians, came the closest, perhaps, to putting a word on it because they called it the Great Mystery. Now, I don't really care what words we use to describe what we mean. What's important to me is that we have a connection here in our group, here, me with you, and in all the places where I teach. There's got to be some kind of an understanding of the concept no matter what word we use. Okay, so you might like the word spirit, creative muse. Some people like to use the word God. Really just the word idea with a capital I love that one. Energy, the stuff of life, substance, all of the capital letters, because that indicates their primacy. Life with a capital L, source. Yeah, all these things. Someone here wrote vision. Why is that not coming up on my phone? So frustrating that I can't see your comments. Okay, I just have to refresh it. Okay, great. Christina said vision. I love vision with a capital V, right? Kay says spirit for sure can be positive and constructive or negative. Yeah. Julie says random inspiration. So maybe that has some kind of a chaos element in it. That's really interesting. Angela calls it inspiration with a capital I, and so does Magdalena. Ooh, Angela, I love the creative urge. I would just put capital letters on that. So creative urge. Love that. Elizabeth Gilbert would call it magic. Yeah, that's another way to think of it. Insight. Love that too. Mary says, my understanding is spiritual. God is living spirit constantly creating through us. Divine idea. Yeah, that's that idea with a capital I. I think we're on the same page there, Mary. In fact, I think all of these responses are really, we're all kind of looking at a different facet of the same diamond. That's the way I see it. So for the purpose of communication, I like to use the word creative muse because it is kind of amusing. And I'm not using that word lightly, amusing. When you think about where the word amuse comes from, it certainly comes from that root of having a muse, right? And we artists, you know, there is kind of an understanding, an intuitive understanding of what a muse is. So I like to use this word, the creative muse. I like to talk about creative spirit with a capital S, and all of these other words work for me too. All of them. Everything that everybody has said here works for me too. Okay, because I think the creative muse, that great mystery, is so big and so powerful that it can hold and contain everything. It can contain all of the words that we put out there. So I think we've just sort of defined, or at least we've talked about how impossible it is to define the creative muse. But this is how I think about it anyway. So my second question for everybody out there is, what attracts your muse? Because if you're going to create something, okay, and you want to get inspired, give me a thumbs up if you want to get inspired when you create art, right? I mean, we all just take that for granted, that we want our art to be inspired, right? Should see lots of yeses and thumbs up popping here, popping up now. Yes, so we want to be inspired. So that means that if there is a creative muse, then we need to attract him, her, it, right? So what attracts your idea of your muse? What do you think attracts that creative spirit to help you get inspired? I would love to hear from you. What do you think? What do you think attracts inspiration? And then I'll tell you what I think. But I'd love to see some of your responses first. And I love the yeses popping up here. Hey, Ken, I see that you're here, and Angel. Oh, Angel wrote something else too. She says, a muse is a person or personified force. Ah, force, capital F. I would put the capital. I love capitals for important things. The force who is the source of inspiration for a creative artist. Love that. Did you get that from the dictionary? I was wondering if you, because it looks like a dictionary definition. Is so perfect, right? And Magdalena said a kind of hunger or desire. Yeah. And I love what you wrote about inspiration here, Kay. Yeah, wonderful. And there is a compulsion. I totally agree with you, Christina. When you're taken over by inspiration and the creative muse and you are like one thing, you've got to create, right? There's a compulsion. You have to create your art. Otherwise, you're going to get sick, right? Yeah, I know. Ask me how I know that. And I don't mean just physically sick, although sometimes suppressed creativity can literally make you sick. Actually, now that I'm saying that, it has happened to me. And it happened to me over a long period of years in which I didn't realize at the time, but I realized much later, specifically after I got divorced, that my creative spirit was being squelched. I didn't realize it at the time because I didn't realize how important it was, as strange as that may seem, because I've been an artist my whole life. But there was a long period where I was not getting in touch with my creativity, and I didn't realize how much I needed that. And I used to get severe sinus infections 3 times a year. 3 times a year, I would have to wait for weeks and weeks hoping it would go away, and then I'd finally have to break down and get antibiotics. It was just awful. 3 times a year, I would have to go through that. I got divorced, and literally for 3 years, I didn't even get a little cold, not even a head cold for 3 years. And since then, I've only had one, and it lasted just a few days. So tells you something, right? Can anybody else relate to having your creativity suppressed? I mean, ultimately, we do it to ourselves. I'm not trying to blame anybody. It's just a story. It's just a fact. And ultimately, I know that I suppressed my own creativity, and it was nobody else's fault. But sometimes we're in situations where it makes it harder to express our creativity. And that's what happened to me. Okay, now I'm seeing some of the comments come up in answer to my question here about what attracts creative spirit. Angel says, being open, yeah. Hey, Julio. Julio says, usually it comes when I'm doing what I want to do. Yes, yes, yes. Kay says, connection with God. Yeah. Julio says, oh yeah, correcting, what I want to do. Yeah, got it. Excellent. To connect with desire. I'm going to talk a little more about that actually in a moment. Ken says, sometimes just a powerful performance or recording, something that sweeps over me. Yes. Bethany. Hey, Bethany. I'm so glad you joined my group today. I can't wait to get to know you. Bethany says, feeling safe, no fear of judgment or failure. Love that. Mary says, getting quiet, meditation. Listening to the quiet, still voice within. I'm going to talk about that in a moment too. Great. Abby, hello Abby. Abby says, as a musician, being in nature, looking at artworks, practicing gratitude. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes to all of those. Thank you. And Diogo, hello. Diogo says, thinking what my role in the world as an artist is. Important. So, 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 so important to know your purpose. That is the first of my 5 pillars in the Art of Freedom method for conscious living and masterful artistry. That's it. Purpose. Love that. Thank you so much for putting that out there. Angela says, going to the museum. Oh, that is so inspiring. I'm totally with you there. I'm going to concerts. And unfortunately, we can't do that right now. Okay, these are great comments. Wonderful. Here's something I want to share, which I really think attracts the creative muse. So let's see what you think of this idea. I think a childlike spirit attracts that great mystery, that creative spirit, our muse. It's almost like when you're a little child, you're playing with your muse all day long, right? You're in that spirit of living in a creative way. You don't even think about it. It's just the way you are when you're little. Unless you're in difficult circumstances and that's being squelched already when you're small. And sadly, that does happen to a lot of children. But I'm talking about the natural, childlike spirit. I think we are naturally creative. I think everybody is creative, born creative, because we are born with that connection to creative spirit. I think it's a birthright. It's who we are. Okay, everybody, I'm back. I have no idea what happened, and I'm really frustrated because I don't really know when everything froze back there on part 1 of today's live video. I don't know why it happened. I'm now on my phone. I thought, well, maybe it has something to do with my laptop, but I apologize for that interruption, and hopefully you will find me again and I can finish up, or continue rather, and then hopefully finish with a good connection here. Hayes is here. Hello, Hayes and Magdalena. Thank you for coming back. I so much appreciate your finding me. I'm going to talk in this part of the video about the 3 steps for waking up our creative muse. In part 1, we talked about what is a creative muse and how do we get in touch with our creative muse, what attracts the creative muse. Okay, so we talked about all of that in part 1. And now I wanted to just share with you 3 thoughts on how to wake up the creative muse once we're kind of connecting with who, what this thing is, this creative spirit. And again, I don't know when I froze, so hopefully you got the gist of what I was sharing there. Oh, I know. Let me ask you, did you all see when I was sharing this with you guys? There's less of a lag here on my phone, so I'm just gonna wait one moment and see if you got to see this, because this was kind of special to me. This was sharing about myself as an artist, that it started when I was really little, and that I've continued to be not just a musician, but a writer, and very much a writer actually, and also visual artist. I love to draw and paint and those things too. Oh, Magdalena, thank you for telling me. So you didn't see any of that. Ah, crazy. So I'm just going to briefly share this because I think it's really worth sharing, because I was talking in the other video, part 1, about how important it is to, oh, actually, Magdalena, I wonder if you left before it froze. If there's anybody else, like Patricia, maybe, if you were on for the whole thing until I froze, could you tell me if you got to see what's in here? Because I don't want to waste anybody's time by showing it again. But basically this was me as a 6-year-old. Here, I don't know if you can, I can't really show you the pictures, but I talked about how well, here's a picture of me. Magdalena, you're Swiss, you're going to appreciate that. That's me when I was 6, holding my little Swiss cowbell. So, and with my little daisy crown that my mom made. Okay, but anyway, this was saying how important it is to get inspired by nature, by things around us. It's so helpful to let nature inspire us. And I was showing you how I liked to write as a kid and draw. So, I mean, here's a little book that I made of stories. Of course, they're illustrated. And I wish I could show you all the whole thing. And here's my beloved Switzerland, because this was all about a trip to Switzerland. And the other thing that was in here, the last thing I'm going to show you, was, I don't know why I was always so inspired by angels when I was little, because I really grew up in a non-religious, non-spiritual household. But for some reason, I liked angels a lot. And so this is one of my drawings. And also I was really into writing I love you. So this is just to kind of illustrate a childlike spirit and to inspire all of us to recapture that childlike spirit, because the children are spontaneous and open and naturally creative, I believe, and naturally in tune and connected with the creative spirit or creative muse, mystery, whatever we want to call that, God. Children are naturally connected, and they don't think about it. They don't do anything special. They're just living in that creative stuff of life, and everything is new and wondrous and wonderful. So now let's talk about these 3 steps to wake up a creative muse, to get inspired for your artistry. As I said before, there are a lot of possible steps, of course, but I think these are 3 key things that we always need to do. Number 1, you need to know how to empty yourself of your ego, basically. It comes down to that. You need to be able to get out of your own way. You need to be able to unclutter yourself from all the chatter that goes on in the mind. And a lot of that chatter is negative, and it's not helpful. And it really blocks the natural creative process, I believe. So you've got to have tools and a system. You have to know, you have to have the keys, the steps, the practical way to do that, to clear your mind, and not just your mind, but your whole body. For optimum inspiration, you need to have your whole self purified, so to speak. And I am not talking about anything that's black and white. There's a tendency towards emptying and releasing and undoing and getting out of the way. As long as you're going in that direction, excellent. Inspiration will find you. Okay, you just need to take one little step and creative spirit will do the rest. So it's not about being totally empty or totally clear of clutter. That's not even possible, because we are thinking beings and we're always going to be getting in our own way to some degree or another. But you have to have a system, a way to get out of your own way. And you have to know how to do that
And you've got to practice doing that because it's not so easy all the time, especially depending on your circumstances. Sometimes it's easier than others. So that, I would say, is the first step, is to know how to get clear, open up and empty yourself of the things that block creative inspiration. Step number 2, you need to know what you want. You have to have an intention. You have to ask. If you want to get inspired, you have to be open to inspiration and you have to want it. If you want to, for instance, if you want to channel, that's kind of a weird word, but I'm not using it too seriously here. But if you want to channel your creative muse so that that creative spirit can come through you and out your artwork, whether you're painting an oil canvas, an oil painting, or you are composing a flute melody, or playing an improvisation like I started doing on my violin, or you're writing a novel, you've got to allow inspired ideas to come to you. You don't have to know where they come from, whether they come from outside or inside, but they do come from somewhere other than your thinking mind here in the prefrontal cortex. So we need to use the prefrontal cortex thinking mind to actually get that thinking mind out of the way. That's step number 1, clearing. Number 2, we need to actually know what we want. And when you know what you want and you are asking and you're clear and you're committed to your desire, that attracts that creative inspiration to start coming towards you. And then step number 3, you may have a clear intention. You may know exactly what you want, but then you have to let go and trust that your creative muse knows even better than you. So your creative spirit wants the best thing for you, and it may be a little different from what you had intended. So you've got to be flexible, and you need to let go of your attachment to your request and your idea of what you want, and let go so that that creative spirit can give you something even better. Then if there were a step 4, it would be, you've got to be patient. You cannot impose your own timeline on the creative spirit. So letting go and trusting goes along with that patience. Let's all put it in step number 3, actually. Let go and trust and be patient. That's step number 3. Okay, so I would love to get your feedback on this. Send me some emojis or likes or hearts if this is touching you. And just send me even just yes or no. Does this make sense to you? I would love to see your responses. And this is my experience. Okay, this is how it works for me. And this is what I teach my students in much detail. I think one of the things that a lot of people forget about is that you can't just be creating art with your mind or just your body. It's got to be a whole person experience from the inside out. Patricia C says, yes, it definitely does. Yes, good, thanks. We're on the same page here. And so it's got to be, the best art comes from, I think, and again, this is just my experience, where you practice these 3 steps, you get out of the way, and inspiration flows through you. But it doesn't just flow through your mind. It flows through your heart. It flows through your body. Too many people forget about the body. But you can't exclude the body. If you want to make art, you probably need to move your arms and your hands and at least, right? Maybe you even make art on a grand scale and you use your whole body walking across fields or making huge sand sculptures on the beach. That's amazing art, and you obviously need your whole body for that. We are athletes as well. as artists. You've got to use the whole self. So I'm seeing a comment here from Magdalena. She says, it makes sense very much. Great. It is the busyness and restlessness that is in the way. Then the ego, the controlling, judging ego. Yes. And the expectations and the fear of not meeting one's own expectations. I totally agree with you. Absolutely. And Vensha says, love this. Yes, I do it too. Great. Good. I'm glad this is resonating with everybody. I'm glad. So this is the bulk of what I wanted to share with you today. If you're coming on late, I had a glitch with my first live video today, so it got split up into 2 live videos. This is part 2. So hopefully you'll have some time to go back and watch both parts together. I will probably have my assistant sew them together so we have one complete thing in the end. But for now, just know that today's video is in 2 chunks, and this is part 2. Oh, Wendy, I love what you're saying. Letting go and then catching it in our sails like the wind. Love that. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to share today, 2 things. First thing is that I'm so excited because we have another creativity challenge in the works. It is going to be, and now because I'm not on my other because of what happened to the live video, I don't have my calendar here, but it's in 2 weeks. And I believe it's May 18th through 22nd. That's Monday through Friday in 2 weeks. We're going to have a marathon 5-day free creativity challenge. And I would love it if you would sign up for that. Again, let me see if I can do it from my laptop. I was going to give you the link, and I was not able to do that, but maybe I'll be able to do it now. I'll just post the link here into the comment section if I'm able to do that. Let me see. Yeah, something's weird with Facebook on my laptop right now. So I don't know why I had that problem today. Yeah, the video is not even showing up at all, which is frustrating. Hopefully that live video didn't disappear. That would be sad. Yeah, well now I'm sad. It was a good video, wasn't it? I can always do it again. You know, I just, you know, you can get inspired. You tap into your creative muse, Jennifer, just do it again. No big deal. Anyway, I will share the link with you in the group very soon after this so that you can sign up for the creativity challenge. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, so we'll do that. And now this is the end of my video, and I want to announce the winner of my live topic contest that we had over the weekend. And that's Angel. Angel Ashling had the topic that attracted me the most. It was about, you know, what is the creative muse? How do we connect to the creative muse? And so thank you, Angel, for that topic. I'm really happy about that. And I'm giving you the Musician's Mindset Power Toolkit for free. I don't think you have that. So let me know if you do, and I'll give you something else. But I really want you to have this mindset toolkit. It's something that I offer to people. It's usually $127, so I'm just going to give it to Angel for free because I'm so excited that you thought of this topic. It was perfect for me to talk about that today. And I also want to thank everybody else who came up with amazing topics. Honestly, it was really hard to choose, and I am going to be using those topics in upcoming videos for sure because they were all so pertinent to the things that I love to share, talk, and teach about. So thank you so much, everybody, who participated in that little contest. I really appreciate your input there, and we'll use those topics. And I think that's about it. That's what I've got for you today. I'm going to be doing this every Monday at noon here. And I'll give you plenty of reminders, but I would love it if you'd put it in your calendar and we could make this a regular time for us to connect here. And last but not least, if you have creative friends, people who are writers, artists, actors, anything creative, amateur or professional, this group is for this type of person. And pretty much everybody is creative, but I'm thinking of people who really care deeply about being creative. So bring your friends over to this group. I would love to have them here. And thank you so much for joining me live today. I apologize again about the glitch with the live video. No idea what happened to part 1. So I'm gonna see if I can figure that out now. All right, have a wonderful day and lots of love. Bye. Go be creative and get inspired by your creative muse and tell me about it. Tell us about it in the group. Go practice what I was preaching here. Go do it and then report back. Post in the group. Tell us what your experience is. Okay? Lots of love. Bye.